Okay, we're rolling.
Sorry. Okay, the committee's chatted, the interim committee, and we can't think of anybody at this current time to propose for the role of campaign officer. How a society usually works, if a role is empty, that defaults to the president, though the exception would be the role of secretary and treasurer. They would normally cover for each other. So technically, I'm your de facto campaign officer. Okay, though everyone I hope will support me with that, so we can share that out. Until we find someone we're happy with, we can talk about that at the next committee meeting. So now I have to give you an acceptance speech. So I prepared a few slides here. Firstly, I'd like to thank everybody that helped me to arrange this. I would like to thank Glenn particularly, who's been very enthusiastic and supportive. Usman keeps sending me regular messages telling me not to give up, so that was very nice. I appreciated that. Paulina has been very supportive, as has Jilesh, and also Richard, who unfortunately is not here today. And I'd like to thank everyone else who helped. Martin was very kind, the advice and support he gave, as he's been in a similar role in the past. Oh, I'd like to thank all the guests who came and helped us have a good, lively event today. So I'd like to thank you all very much. I couldn't have done this without you, and I look forward to working with all of you. So we have quite a challenge ahead of us. We are a university that has a predominantly left-wing students' union. It's not just that, but the academics also typically lean very much to the left. Perhaps they don't have the same experience of us in the workplace, if I dare say it. And there's a very left-wing bias in the media. And the other thing I've noticed is that we are actually in a Labour constituency. So it wouldn't be surprising if we might meet a lot of hostility. The other parties are not particularly civilised in how they handle issues. We have this quite famous picture here of the poor chap who was egged and spat on at the Labour conference, which happened to many people who were just innocently going there. The democratically elected government of this country, which had every right to meet and talk, were attacked by people who basically don't believe in this country's principles, who are opposing democracy. Conservatives never do this when Labour are elected. So we have some very negative, aggressive people who will probably be rude to us. Personally, we've had no violence here. We give out leaflets in front of the security here, so we've been very positive to us. And the worst we had was someone screwed a leaflet up. So we had hugs and handshakes, so we're going to be fine, I'm sure. But it's true that Labour is a very strong force here on this university, as are the socialist workers and Marxists. I have a map here. This is where we actually are. We're in the Holborn and St Pancras constituency, and we can see it's surrounded by lots of red Labour seats. So we're surrounded by thousands of people that support Labour, which isn't very positive, but there is still a strong Conservative support just north and south of us. It's also interesting to note that though half of the people in there vote for Labour, 1 in 5 does actually support Conservatives, and there are those that support other parties as well. Now when we look at this, we might feel rather intimidated. So I thought we should wonder what a great Conservative leader such as Churchill would have said if he was here sitting in this room with us as a Birkbeck Tory. Would he just disband this society? Would he give up? Here's a famous quote here he made during World War II, where he said, "Never give in, never, never, never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy." And Labour might seem like an overwhelming enemy to us, if I dare say that, but we shouldn't give up. I'd also wonder what Margaret Thatcher would do if she was sat here amongst us. She was once the president of the Oxford University Conservatives organisation. She wouldn't have given up. She would have been heard speaking to students. She once said, "You may have to fight a battle more than once to win." We could say that the battle was lost and that the society somewhat died, but we should get up and fight again. We shouldn't give up. Thinking of this strong force of Labour governments, after multiple Labour governments had been ruling this country, the Tories rose again in 2010 and took control of the government, though people thought they never would, and again in 2015, so we should never feel that it's impossible. Birkbeck does sit in a safe Labour seat, but Scotland itself, pretty much the whole country, was viewed as a safe Labour seat, and just recently they lost it. So for decades that had been a Labour safehold, and then SNP turned up and took everything away. So we mustn't feel because we're in a Labour seat it will always be a Labour seat, or that people cannot change their mind. Another party, UKIP, has also made inroads into areas Labour and Conservatives traditionally dominated, and they gained 13%, more than 1/8 of the vote. So it shows that people's ideas can be changed. So how did they do it? Well, it wasn't like Labour do when they win the election, have a childish riot, spit and egg people. Instead, they took their time to go back to the drawing board to think about how best to appeal to people, how to convince them to democratically elect them. So we need to apply that same strategy and think about what students here want from us. Make sure our campaigns appeal to them. So we're tackling some people are not very happy about Theresa May's speech, so we're directly tackling that and dealing with that issue. We're a diverse group of people in this room, and we want them to know that we welcome everyone. Likewise, we need to appeal to other issues that bother people, such as student fees, which it mentions on the reverse of this leaflet, that we want everybody to have the opportunity to go to university. So if we focus on issues that appeal to them and continue our Tory outreach campaign appealing to students, we can build a strong society. So I feel it's time for us to come together, to change things, to turn a new leaf, and to paint the college blue. I believe we can do this.
Yes.
Okay, that's probably enough of me.